Hey guys, I'll be going over the different options you have as cover designers and also my experiences going through designing covers for the Featheralist. So, the Featheralist is a student-run art and humanities publication done by students for students of Del Norte. So that means that they have two people usually interacting to create the cover. We have the artist, who can be traditional or digital or any medium really, who will be sending in a photo, and then we have the graphic designer, who will then be putting over the title and all the necessary bits to make the cover for the Featheralist. So I'll be going over my two covers that I've made. On the left, this was for volume 02, issue 02. I was the artist in this case for the cover. Someone else was the graphic designer. You can see that I made this as a digital piece. It's a dragon chasing an orb. The piece is titled The Journey. So the idea was, how can we have this nice, strong visual image that ties the front and back cover together. I chose to do a dragon to take up the entire frame. This is two pieces of paper of 8.5 by 11. So how can we take up the entire frame? So we have the dragon flowing throughout in this sort of motion to move the viewer's eyes all the way around the picture. But now it provides a couple of difficulties by having such a busy image. We have, let's see, this orb in the top here, and then also this sort of organic shape on the end that makes it pretty difficult for the graphic designer to put in the title. So if we go to the one of the options where the graphic designer could put in the title, trying to maintain that horizontal consistency of the Featheralist title is very hard to read. And if we sample all sorts of different colors, it is still very hard to read. If we try to maybe make it a little bit more jarring and pick a whole different color completely, it still is really harsh on the eyes, and it's very similar to what I said before, very hard to read. So that is the reason why we went with that sort of ellipse. The ellipse is a motif almost brought around in all sorts of ways. You can see the dragon was really curvy. All these sort of bubbly parts are all curvy, so that's the reason for the ellipse. A rectangle in this case would look out of place because this whole entire piece is really organic and flowing around. So that's the reason why we had to, one, curve the title, curve the next pieces of text on the cover, and then also put that ellipse behind it to really focus in and have a clearer time, make the reader's time much easier to pick up and read the title. Now, contrastly, we go on to the title for the senior issue. So here is an issue that we make for the seniors of Del Norte, for the graduating class. This is a magazine that's not submitted for competition. So that sort of allows for us to take a little bit more liberties in design. On the left, you can sort of see that the whole entire spread for the front and back of the cover was really unified. Really, everything has its place. It's really presenting a really nice, imposing artwork. While on this side, for the senior issue, we have a lot of utility involved into it. We'll start first with the art portion of the senior issue. You can sort of see this piece called Bleeding Edge this was right at the start of quarantine and social distancing, where the idea was, hey, how can we sort of summarize the experience of the senior class in this piece. So we have an astronaut, a rocket, and a race car for sort of the technology side of Del Norte, and then we have the humanities side through the architecture, and then also the writing and eraser. So that's sort of the theme that this piece was based around. You can see that's why we have that laptop in center of the frame. So we, again, really talk about how to relate this back to the senior class. So something here, because I was both the artist and graphic designer, so I didn't have to export all my art into a PNG for a graphic designer to use, I could reuse some of my art pieces throughout the front and the back cover. You can see that this astronaut has been duplicated and mirrored across onto the back page. And we have identified and sort of highlighted the stroke and instead of the fill of the astronaut to really provide that sort of complexity and that depth within the back. This was super fun because I was able to design around my lessons learned. So you can see that this piece was initially too busy at the top, so I was able to pretty much have all this negative space at the top to allow for that really clear title and also the clear text underneath. And then also on the back, because I was also the graphic designer and artist, I could adapt. So here, because we didn't have enough space, we'd have to add 2 more pages to the magazine to fit in the contributors. And also the final note, instead of that, we're able to put it onto the back of the cover. So just we're able to use this space as utility. So that's sort of some things to keep in mind. You get a little bit more freedom when you are both the artist and graphic designer of the cover. So leaving at that, I've learned a lot throughout designing 2 covers. There's not a right or a wrong way. There's just maybe an easier workflow and a more difficult workflow. Yes, on the senior issue, I had to put more time into the cover to put together utility and the artistic aspect, but everything could sort of fit a little bit cleaner together rather than on the left side where I was the artist, which saved a little bit of my time, but then moving it on to a graphic designer, they had to edit the art in Photoshop and then impose all of the text pieces, the typography in Illustrator.